Every now and then you come across a story that's so simple, so strange, it just makes you stop and think. This is one of those. It comes from a really short online video, and honestly, it feels like an old folktale, but for our time. It's about a man who could feel the rain coming long before it ever fell. And right from the jump, the person telling this story pretty much warns us. They flat out say it's about to get weird. So, you know what? Let's lean into it. Let's get weird and see where this story takes us. So this is really the big question at the heart of it all. I mean, think about it. We live in this world of Doppler radar, satellite maps, supercomputers running complex models. And yet, what if someone came along and said they don't need any of that stuff? What if they could just feel it? Okay, so our story kicks off on what should be a totally normal first day at a new job. But the setting, it's a local TV station. And when you think about weather forecasting, that's probably one of the most data-heavy, tech-obsessed places you can be. So our guy, the main character here, he's just landed himself a new gig as a weather forecaster. On paper, totally normal career path. But the way he goes about it, yeah, that's anything but. And this is where things get interesting. His new colleagues, they're surrounded by all this tech, screens, charts, data streaming in constantly. And him? He claims he uses nothing. Seriously, no gadgets, no radar. He says his only tool is just a feeling he gets from the air. You can just picture the reaction, right? It must have been total confusion, maybe a little bit of disbelief. Here you are in this professional environment that's built entirely on hard data. And the new guy says his whole method is basically a vibe check. Of course they thought he was joking. Who wouldn't? So really, what we have here is a classic showdown. It's the old school versus the new school, but in a totally weird way. It's the combined might of all our modern technology up against the unexplainable gut feeling of one person. I mean, it really boils down to this, doesn't it? On one side, you've got the voice of logic, of science, basically asking, are you for real? And then on the other side, you get this calm, simple, almost impossible answer. I just feel the air. It's like they're speaking to completely different languages about how to understand the world. So, here's the thing. A debate like this can't just stay theoretical. The weather's going to do what it's going to do. And the moment of truth, when it finally arrives, well, it happens incredibly fast. Then, all of a sudden, he makes a call. And it's not some vague, it might rain later kind of thing. No, he says he feels a shift right then and there. He claims the thing that's going to trigger the storm, it's already happened. The wind just changed. And then he does something unbelievably bold. He puts a number on it, a super specific, incredibly confident number. He says a storm is going to hit in exactly 3 minutes. Not 5, not in a little bit, 3. Suddenly, there's a ticking clock on his entire claim. The sequence of events is just so simple and so dramatic. First, you've got the prediction, just hanging in the air while everyone's probably thinking he's crazy. Then, those 3 minutes have to pass, and I bet they felt like an absolute eternity. And then, we see what happens. All right, so this is it. This is the climax, the moment where his wild intuition is either going to be proven spectacularly right, or just laughed off as a lucky guess, or worse, a total fabrication. And the storm hits, exactly when he said it would. The reaction from his coworkers says it all, doesn't it? That little stutter of disbelief, he was right. It just perfectly captures that moment of pure shock when something you thought was impossible happens right in front of your face. So, of course, this is the first thing your logical brain asks, right? Could this have just been a 1 in a million crazy coincidence? I mean, predicting a storm is one thing, but calling it down to the exact minute with zero data, that seems to stretch the idea of coincidence pretty thin. And the story itself, it doesn't leave any room for doubt on this. It presents this whole event not as some random fluke, but as a real demonstration of a genuine, if unexplainable, ability. The answer is a hard no. Okay, so if it's not a coincidence, what on earth is it? Well, the story wraps up by giving us the forecaster's own explanation for what just happened, and it's direct. He doesn't try to explain it with science. He doesn't talk about humidity or barometric pressure shifts in any technical way. His answer is much more poetic, almost primal. He just says, "Told you nature talks to me." So we can actually put a name to this based on what the story is telling us. Let's call it intuitive meteorology. It's this idea that there's a kind of language in the wind and in the air, a language that maybe we could understand if we just knew how to listen. The belief that maybe the best forecasting tool isn't a satellite, but our own senses. And really, that's what this whole bizarre little story leaves us with, isn't it? A pretty huge question. In our world that's just drowning in data, where we see almost everything through a screen, have we forgotten how to just feel? In our race to measure everything around us, have we accidentally stopped listening to the world itself?